You're listening to The Lead on News 24 with your host, broadcast journalist Graeme Raubenheimer.
Well, he thought, what have I got to lose? Let me take on the man widely tipped to lead the Democratic Alliance next. We pick Sibusiso Dyanase's brain on his 15-year journey in the DA, who he looks up to and why challenging Geordin for the top spot is so critical politically speaking.
It felt like undemocratic because the delegates that are going to come to the Congress needs to be given an opportunity to elect a leader of their choice, and then a leader that they feel like it's going to resonate with them. So I did raise up my hand.
And then we gauge who's who and running for which DA positions with our deputy politics editor Bongekile Macupe ahead of the party's elective Congress this weekend.
Whoever gets it is stepping on these shoes of Helen Zille, who for a while, has been, at the center of the DA stability, has been at the center of the DA, just punching above its weight.
Later in the show, before COVID-19, there was SARS, and no, we're not talking about the taxman in On This Day in South African History, our regular segment.
New episodes of The Lead air Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m.
In Rauby's Pointless Braai Quiz, ShopRite 6060 is a new AI app feature to help choose your preferred products. Well, what's it called? I'll give you that answer a little later. Get it right, you might score the priceless prize of being the most informed person around the braai place. My name's Graeme Raubenheimer, this is The Lead, and this is the South African story. Well, a one-horse race is arguably pretty boring, isn't it? Well, Geordin is not walking into the post of Democratic Alliance leader this weekend without a political challenge. He's got Sibusiso Dyonase, the DA's Sedibeng caucus leader, to contend with, and here's a gentleman, one may argue, is the real underdog in this race. Mr. Dyonase, thanks so much for joining us on The Lead. Are you the underdog in this weekend's Congress?
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you to your listeners who took their time to listen. It's been put like that. I'm an underdog, and then it's a title I'm willing to take because I haven't been known by everyone. And this is not a popularity contest. It's about leadership that we are going to elect moving forward in this Congress. So I take that title that I'm an underdog.
And I appreciate that you sort of evoke the moment. Why did you decide that you wanted to take on Geordin for the position? Why was it so important for you within the political space of not only the Democratic Alliance, but also, stepping up to what is considered to be almost a full-time position, right? There's a lot of responsibility.
I was nominated by my colleagues. I think when they started only opening up the nominations, but then I only accepted the nominations when I read in the newspapers that Alderman Geordin is going to come up as an uncontested leader of the Democratic Alliance, and it felt like undemocratic because the delegates that are going to come to the Congress needs to be given an opportunity to elect a leader of their choice, and then a leader that they feel like it's going to resonate with them. So I did raise up my hand to put up a challenge for Alderman Geordin, but then also I've been within the party for more than 15 years. I'm a member of the Regional Executive Committee. I'm a member of the Provincial Executive Committee, and then I am a leader in my own right in the caucus that I'm currently leading, Sedibeng District Municipality. And then I felt like those experiences have actually prepared me for the day, and then I'm ready to actually take up this full-time employment. I have time. I am going to dedicate my life into this job. I have all the necessary skills that are needed, and then I meet all the requirements that are needed.
Spoo, tell us, where did you get your start in the DA? Were you in any other political party beforehand? And what attracted you to the DA? I mean, the Independent Electoral Commission, as of March 2026, has stated that South Africa has more than 600 registered political parties. So you have many options to choose from. Why the DA?
Unfortunately for me, I've never been in any other political party. I started with the Democratic Alliance 15 years ago when I was only 19 years. And then I was straight after matric. My sister was working as a communications officer in our constituency. And then she asked me to actually help her with doing canvassing. And then from that day, I fell in love with this party. I read the principles and the values of the party. And then I fell in love. I was elected the same year at 19 years old as the branch chairperson of where I stay. And then fast forward, even when I was working as an operator, because I was working for an operator for one of the largest steel manufacturers in South Africa, I was still involved in the ground force and then still doing the activism of the party. In 2021, I was very fortunate to be elected as a PR councillor in Sibusiso District Municipality. And then 2022, I was elected the caucus deputy chairperson of Sibusiso. And then I was also elected as the interim youth deputy chairperson for training and development in the Vaal region. In 2023, that's when I started becoming a caucus leader of Sibusiso District Municipality. So I've been in the DA all my life. I've never been to any other party.
Right. Who is it in the DA that, I mean, you know, I'm 30, I'm turning 36 this year, you're 33, we're a similar age, you know, I've been in journalism 16 years, you've been in politics for 15 years, so, you know, we could argue we're both akin in, our pursuits, in our professional careers, and we have people we look up to. Who do you look up to, Spoo?
In the Democratic Alliance currently, I am very much intrigued by I'm very much interested in the energy of our federal chairperson, the outgoing federal council chairperson, Helen Zille. She actually has put in so much work in making sure that the Democratic Alliance, it is what it is today. When Helen Zille took over the Democratic Alliance, we were only on the single digits. Now we are in the double digits of the whole country. And then she has so much energy. And then she actually invested in the next coming generation. There's a Catalyst program that she has founded and the Young Leaders program that she is spearheading. So she very much interests me, and it shows that she is interested on the upcoming generations that will come in the Democratic Alliance.
Look, a bit of a tough question, of course. I mean, and it's sometimes a bit of an elephant in the room when it comes to race-based politics in South Africa today. Political analysts, pundits, people always have an opinion in this regard. And the DA has, to some degree, historically been viewed as an internally a difficult place for a black person to cut their teeth in senior positions. Although, people like Solly Malatsi, Siviwe Hwahube are, changing the narratives in their own right? And it would be incorrect for me to say that that's been a blanket experience for all people of color within the DA. I'm also not in the DA. I don't know that for a fact. But these are things that people tend to talk about. What is your view on the matter in this regard? Geordin Hill-Lewis talks about a more inclusive DA if he were to win. What's your opinion on the matter?
Yes, thank you very much. The Democratic Alliance prides itself as a non-racial party. We do believe that for any leader who comes into the Democratic Alliance and then who wants to grow in the ranks, they will have to prove themselves and then commit into the Democratic Alliance. I don't believe that we only piggy bank on the race and then we try most of the time to run away from this factor. But then the truth of the matter is that the Democratic Alliance is growing and it is attracting everyone from every corner of South Africa. And we are the most diverse political party in South Africa, if you look at it. We advocate for everyone. And then my plea to everyone who is within the Democratic Alliance is that people see us as something that we are not. We are a united front. And then it is now up to us to actually go out there and show people that the Democratic Alliance, it is not what the media is saying. Let us go together. Let's go to the locations. Let us go to the deep farms. Let us go to the deep rural areas of the Democratic Alliance as a united front all the time. Let's not select the places that we feel like, no, this one is safe for me. No, this one is okay for me. But then let's go together, because this is what the Democratic Alliance is always about. Unity all the time, and getting all the South Africans, black and white, working together, because that is what will take South Africans to move South Africa forward. We need to be united, all of us.
Sibusiso, what are those areas of concern for you from a service delivery perspective, or, socioeconomic issues in your particular part of the world when we talk about grassroots issues at the end of the day? I think many of us as South Africans are tired of the ideological talk. We're tired of, the usual political rhetoric, and it feels like Groundhog Day that we're even saying this. We really need to get on with it, I think, has been the general sort of gist of feeling since especially the government of national unity came into effect. What are those areas of concern for you in your neck of the woods that you feel like, hey, the time for talk is over, we need to fix this?
Yes, the thing about politics right now is that people are discouraged to actually participate in politics because of the failures of service delivery that they are getting. And then I always tell people that if you do not participate, or if maybe you abstain from getting into politics because of that, it is definitely what the party that is not giving you service delivery is looking for. They're looking forward to you staying at home, not voting them out, and not registering your frustrations in terms of water, electricity, education. We have unemployment that is a mass discouragement to young people, because they are always asking, what will politics actually bring for me, because I've been staying at home. But then what we're saying as the Democratic Alliance is that go out there, vote out this political party that you feel like it's failing you, and give another political party a chance. If that political party doesn't do what you want, it's 5 years again. Go vote them out and elect another political party. As a Democratic Alliance, we have proven ourselves that service delivery is a number one mandate that we want to push. We are driving the issues of water in our communities. We are driving the issues of electricity in the communities that do not have electricity. So what we are saying right now is that people should not stay at home thinking that they're going to be punishing the politicians in staying at home. It doesn't work like this. If you stay at home and you abscond, it means you are voting for exactly what you didn't want.
Yeah, absolutely. Say, for example, you win this weekend at the Congress, and the best of luck. Perhaps you are able to get as many votes, if not more, to take this top spot. What would you do in your first 100 days, Sibusiso?
Well, in the first 100 days, what we need to do is put on our boots, go to our communities, and make sure that our communities, they hear the message of the Democratic Alliance. Of course, we're going to have to work on the manifesto right now, and then we're going to have to actually identify the communities that we are going to prioritize, because each and every community in South Africa needs to get the message of the Democratic Alliance. We are going to make sure that we train our activists and our staff members and give them enough capacitation to actually deal with the challenges that we are going to have. We are going to strengthen the democratic processes of the party, of the internal democracy, and make sure that each and every structure, each and every ancillary is now felt. So the most priority that we have to do is being visible in each and every corner of South Africa right now.
Anything you want to say to your contender this weekend, Geordin Hill-Lewis? If you've got one sentence you want to say to him, what do you want to say to his face?
I really wish him all the best, and I hope that he wishes me all the best. And then whatever happens after the Congress, I wish that he will be open to actually work together and then allow other parties to come in.
Yeah, and if you could say one thing to the president, what would you tell him?
Mr. President, listen to the people of South Africa. Stop staying in your office and think that things would sort themselves out. Go out there, talk to the people, knock on the doors, and understand the situation that our South Africans are living in.
Yeah, absolutely. Sibusiso Dyonase, thanks so much for your time on the lead on News 24. Thanks for pulling off on the side of the road. I've been concerned about your safety throughout this whole time. You did assure me before the interview that you were safe and sound, but I really appreciate your time. I hope you keep your energy levels up for what's probably going to be quite a busy weekend, right?
Thank you very much, and thank you to your listeners. I hope you had a good one also. Have a lovely day.
You're listening to the latest edition of The Lead on News 24 with Graeme Raubenheimer. If you've got an opinion on what you've heard so far, drop us a short voice note on our WhatsApp hotline. That's 072 562 3179. Trending topic.
Well, staying now with the DA Federal Congress being held in Midrand this weekend, our Deputy Political Editor Bongekile Macupe is there now to run us through the who's who of running for which positions. Bongekile, welcome to the lead. How are you doing?
I'm well, Graeme, and how are you?
Yeah.
It's a big weekend for the DA, much anticipated DA Congress.
Absolutely. Please stay off those sugary energy drinks for the weekend.
The one thing I appreciate, though, Graeme, I must say about DA congresses is that they are very punctual, and you hardly have to survive on energy drinks because the likelihood is that by 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. you should be done. Unlike other political parties that I'm not going to mention, where you really have to sit through, early hours of the morning or late into the night.
Yeah, especially during that certain former president's tenure over 9 years, Bongekile. Hey, many late nights there. Okay, let's run through some of the candidates. Let's start with the big one, of course, federal leader of the Democratic Alliance. Don't you just love it? And I interviewed him today, Sibusiso Dyonase. He's coming out and he's saying, listen, there can't just be one horse in this race. I need to challenge as well. That's the whole theme of the Democratic Alliance, is that there needs to be a democratic process. But I mean, Geordin Lewis should have this in the bag, right?
Yeah. I agree with Sibusiso is that contestation is good. It's good for any, healthy, political party or any, for a healthy Congress or, contestation is good. But in this case, one, you have to look at who Geordin Lewis is, and you have to look at who Sibusiso is. And I mean, it's a known fact that, Geordin Lewis has been mentored by, Helen Zille. So he's gone through, that mentorship. And you would know that Helen Zille for the longest time has been like the engine of, of the DA. So, he's up against that, prominent and prominent figure who has gone through proper training, if you were, for maybe this ultimate job in the party. But I guess we have to commend him for for his bravery, and we have to commend him for saying that this can't be just a coronation. There needs to be some form of a contestation, and we saw that even with Balin Tuli the other year when she contested John Steenhuisen. It ended up being how it was, that John Steenhuisen was elected. But it's good that there are people who are putting up and saying that we are part of this party too, and we think that there is something that we can offer to this political party. So I think you have to commend Sibusiso. But I mean, in all likelihood, as we have seen, the endorsements, we've seen like major, DA figures, like your Tony Leon, who you can see as a veteran of the DA, and other prominent, federal council members of the DA coming out to endorse Lewis. So by all likelihood, when we leave Galaka Estate on Sunday, he would have been named the DA leader. But like I said, contestation is good. It's healthy.
And Sibusiso's also playing the political game, by proxy of him putting his hand up. He's attracting the media houses. He's doing the interviews. He's raising his profile.
We now know who he is. Before this, he was just, a a councillor in Citibank that no one knew anything about. But now he's raised his profile and he's saying, I am going to play in the ring and I'm going to punch above my weight. And I think that's commendable. How this is going to end up for him, we'll see. But I think that, it's something that he can be proud of. And the people that will probably vote for him here can be proud that he was able to say, I am going to get into the ring. I might get out of the ring, bruised, but I got into the ring, and that's courage.
Absolutely. Look, let's talk about Helen Zille's replacement. Helen Zille's position as DA Federal Council chairperson is in a rather senior internal political position, because she ultimately, when it comes to party processes and following everything to the T, the buck stops with her. And she, that's a very strict position. The front runners there are Ashore Serapin, as well as Werner Horn and Neo Mokoena. Look, I try to get Ashore and Werner on the lead this week. It's been very, very difficult. Gone are the days of DA members, just easily for the media to get them on to interviews. Hey, I've been struggling. Ashore, of course, is a deputy finance minister. Do you think the position's Ashore's, or do you think this will be a close one?
Look, it's also a very contested position. And as you have rightfully say, it's one of the most, influential and important positions in the DA, maybe even more important than the leader, because, as we have known that Helen Zille has been like the engine of the party. She's the one who, makes sure that the processes are in place. So that position has a lot of power, right? So whoever gets it, and also, whoever gets it is stepping on these shoes of Helen Zille, who for a while, has been, at the center of the DA stability, has been at the center of the DA, just punching above its weight. You would know that Helen Zille was very instrumental in the discussions that saw the DA coming into the government of national unity after the 2024 elections. So these are not just small shoes that you are filling. They are very big shoes that you are filling. And Esho obviously has been, deputizing Helen Zille, so maybe he has that kind of an advantage, but I guess whoever is going to win this position has to be someone who is very mature, someone who is very confident in who they are, that they won't, always have to be in the shadow of what Helen Zille used to be. They will have to craft their own path, and they will have to, introduce their own, processes, or introduce their own culture in the DA that, it can't always be, it was a Zille thing. So, and the competition is very tight between Werner Horn, who also serves as a House chairperson in the National Assembly, and Ashore, as you have mentioned, who's the deputy finance minister. And News 24, for your listeners, is actually working on a story for publication tomorrow morning on who, the delegates, the 2,000 delegates that will be here at Gallagher Estate have, will put their cross next to, but it all, like with right now, if you look at the endorsements on social media as well, where, some of the, ordinary DA members, but also where some of the, leaders within the party have come out to, endorse Esho. So at this point, it also looks like he is taking this one. But, politics is a strange thing, Graeme. You can go into a conference confident that you are taking it, and when you leave, you are disappointed. But right now, it all likelihood, it looks like that, it's Esho is taking this one. It's also a very important position.
Yeah, you can hear the logistics in the background coming apart at the seams as Bongekile gives us a glimpse into a political crystal ball. What is this federal chairperson position? It's also a senior position. How different is it from being the leader or being the new Helen Zille saying, hey, don't be naughty. What is the federal chairperson position really? Yeah, we've got Ivan Meyer. He's a stalwart of the Western Cape, Bongekile, Ivan Meyer.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with him many years ago before the coalitions came about, and he said the writing's on the wall, we're going to national coalitions. And then you got Solium Samanga, of course, in Gauteng, a big DA leader there as well. What is that position, and who do you think's taking it?
Yeah, so like with the DA, right, the names of their positions can be quite,
confusing.
Cumbersome, and confusing in a way. But what I understand is that Helen Zille is like the Secretary General of the party, and the chairperson, federal chairperson, which is where Ivan Meyer and Solim Simang are going up against each other. That will be like, if we use, the ANC's terms, and no disrespect to the DA, but I think because the ANC is the oldest party in South Africa, we've kind of like getting used to their terms. So if you would use the ANC as an example, then that position is the chairperson. That would be the Gwede Mandashe of the DA.
Yeah.
And there you have, like you say, Solim Simanga, who is currently the DA Gauteng leader. And you have, like you rightfully say, Ivan, who is wanting a second term to come back. And again, we wrote a story this morning in at News 24 where, the people that we spoke with are saying that, look, we are behind Ivan Meyer. A day before, our colleague Soiso Maliti had written a story around the upcoming provincial congress in KwaZulu-Natal, and KwaZulu-Natal has already said that they are behind Ivan Meyer because they have seen him on the ground in KZN. They have seen him support them, politically, and those who are in government, and also he has the backing of his province in the Western Cape. And also, one thing that we have to mention is that the KZN is also bringing, I think about 700 delegates. So they are also one of the provinces that has the largest delegate. So, and then you have the Western Cape and Gauteng, So by virtue of the numbers that are also coming, you can already see that, it looks like Ivan Meyer is poised to have a second term in this in this Congress. And, Soli, I haven't seen much of people coming out to say that they are endorsing him. Even people in his home province of Gauteng. So it looks like he might be bruised here, and I think for him, he's looking to mature. In conversations and interviews that we've had with him, he said that like he's looking to mature. He's outgrown the politics of the province, and he's looking at a more a senior role in the party. But it remains to be seen whether that would, really is going to be in his favor, what is going to happen here. And it's also going to be interesting to say, if he loses here, will he still, enjoy support in his home province, or will probably see him being relegated to being a backbencher in parliament?
Let's talk about two quick issues, and then I think we can wrap it up. Age, and the generational shift that's happening now for the DA. Geordin,
it's very interesting, Graeme, that you raised that, because we are seeing that, there's really a generational shift, in the DA this time around. Like you are seeing that, your Helen Zilles are making way, like she's now focused on running for mayoral candidate in Johannesburg, and we are seeing like because if you look at some of these people, for example, Jordan Hill-Lewis is, my age mate. He's
39? He's 39?
I'm old. Yeah, I'm older than him. I turn 40 in June. He turns 14 in December. You look at the likes of Siviwe Gwahube, I think she's 36. You look at the likes of Soli Malatse. So you really see like in this context, just like the young people that are coming in, and you can hopefully see that there's going to be a different generational mix, or that infusion of young blood into the DA, which is really going to be interesting, because you will not have that, for a lack of a better word, that that old guard of Helen Zille, and you are now seeing like really young people punching above their weight and saying that we want to lead a DA. Also, I mean, it's interesting because South Africa is fairly a young nation, as you were. So it's interesting to see political parties that are really giving space to young people. We know that in South Africa, we speak about in other political parties, there's always talk about a generational mix, and you still have other people who are resisting, giving young people space. So I think this Congress is also very interesting in that regard, that everyone, mainly the people that have put up their hand, like your Nicholas Nyatis, they are very young people as well. So it's very interesting, and it's an exciting, I hope that even DA leaders, even DA members see this shift as exciting for them, and just looking forward to seeing what these young people can bring into the party, the energy that they can bring in taking the party forward, because many of them are promising that, like your Eshos, and your Solis, they want to make the DA the biggest party, the majority party. So it's going to be interesting, the new ideas that they are bringing in.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's end here. Look, and just to add, Sibusiso himself is 33 years old. Like I say, Geordin, 39. Okay, Dr. Ivan Mayer, he's a little bit older. I'm not sure of his age.
He's probably like the oldest, and your Werner Horner, but mainly the people are quite young.
Let's end here, and this is the big elephant in the room. And I put this question to Spu in our interview today, Bongekile. Look, race-based identity politics in South Africa remains a talking point, whether you and I like it or not.
Absolutely.
And if Geordin Lewis at that Elsie's River speech in Cape Town came and said, I want the DA to be more inclusive, I want the DA to be a representation of the demographics of South Africa, and that must also look like that in the fact of people who support and vote for the Democratic Alliance. And I put that question to Spu, and his answer was that we are not the party that the media says we are, that it's a multiracial party at the moment, and that needs to be sort of like celebrated. That gone is the past days of black members of the party struggling or to eke their way through to senior positions within the DA. And I think, people like Solly Malatsi as well as Siviwe Hwahube are changing that narrative. I really want to hear your opinion.
I think that's the stigma that follows the DA, where, like you said, whether you like it or not. The fact of the matter is that the DA is known to be largely a white liberal party, and we've seen over the years where there were experiments, and I think our colleague Peter Dutoit does write about that in his column today, where you speak about the DA has always had that that burden on its shoulders to say that it needs to be inclusive, it needs to be diverse, because right now, if you look at it, it really does appear that it's just a party that serves white people. It's a party that's largely, a majority membership base of white people.
Yeah.
For example, recently they announced the mayoral candidates in the Western Cape, and it was shocking to see that poster where literally 90% of those people in those posters were white, and then you had maybe I think one or two colored people. So I think it's going to be very important for whoever is going to be announced here as the leader and the other crucial positions to make sure that one of the things that the DA needs to do is to be a party that people can really relate to, ordinary South Africans. And we cannot discount the fact that the majority of people in South Africa are black. So those are the people that you want their vote. And if they cannot relate to you, and if they still see you as a party that's largely served white people, because that's another thing. Like even in the Western Cape where the DA governs, the criticism is always that, it services, your Constantia Kloof, it services the urban areas where we would know that majority of white people reside. But in townships, it's a different story. So I think one of the biggest tasks that whoever is going to be elected here has is to make sure that this is a party that is diverse. This is a party that my cousin who is in rural Mount Fletcher can look at the DA, can look at its policies and says, this is a party that represents me, this is a party that I can vote for. And I think right now, largely ordinary South Africans do not relate to the DA in that regard.
Lead listeners, you just heard something. I think it's called the drop of a mic drop moment with Bongekile Macupe, our deputy political editor. I love her. I love having her on the show. My heart is a little sore. I'm not with her at the Congress this weekend. The lead is not broadcasting this weekend, but I'm sure we'll catch up next week.
We definitely have to catch up next week, Graeme, and we can do a postmortem of what will be happening here at Galaga this weekend.
Nkosi kakhulu. Iba imnini amnande. We'll chat then, sis.
Ndiyabulela, sure.
Looking for a smarter weekend scroll? The Weekender is your ultimate guide to bold stories, sharp opinion, and a fresh lens on life in Mzansi. From exclusive interviews and powerful essays to wine picks, playlists, and pop culture gems, it's your perfect weekend read all in one place, landing every Saturday on News 24. And finally,
ending off now with On This Day in South African History, that's courtesy the SA History online database. Well, before COVID-19, there was SARS, and no, we're not referring to the taxman. Well, on this day, the 9th of April 2003, South Africa's local health authorities got wind of a suspected case of severe acute respiratory system, or SARS, with a 62-year-old man admitted to a Pretoria hospital with flu-like symptoms just days following a trip to Hong Kong, China. Now, tests at that time, though, ended up being negative, but doctors remained extremely wary given the man's symptoms, because by that point in 2003, folks, SARS had claimed more than 100 lives globally. Do you remember where you were then and when we got the news of the COVID-19 outbreak in South Africa? Funny enough, I was in Pretoria at the health department's headquarters. Ending off now with Rauby's Pointless Buy Quiz. And our question today is, ShopRite 6060 has a new AI app feature to help choose your preferred products. The question is, what's it called? That answer, Pixie. ShopRite's Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer Neil Schroeder told News24 that Pixie is quote-unquote like Tinder for groceries. Make of that what you will. Well, if that was your answer, well done. You score nothing but perhaps the priceless prize of being the most informed person around the Braai Place. And I'll see you around that Braai Place this Saturday. If you enjoyed our discussions today, there's plenty where that came from now that the DA's Federal Congress is due to get underway over this weekend at Gallagher Estate in Midrand. Of course, keep it here on News 24 on that front page for rolling coverage. And like Bongekile said, we'll have our post-mortem right here on The Lead at 7 p.m. Monday night. In the meantime, you can drop us a mail at thelead@24.com. Well, until then, my name's Graeme Raubenheimer, and so long as there's trusted news first, we'll have The Lead.